Aha. Why is it saying 4 squares? Well, I'm seeing you. All right, I think
That's
we're
good.
live now. I think we're live. Let's see. But I'm messing up all of our pictures. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Well, I'm just going to get going. You can hear me. Um, can you talk real quick?
I check 1 2
All
Mike
right.
Mike
Good.
one two.
I'm getting your audio. Perfect. Perfect.
Okay. All
Okay.
right.
Then it says we're live. Perfect.
Okay.
Then
And
and
so
it
do
share.
you have like when I was watching you on the live, so are you looking at the interface where like the YouTube comments and people like I was interacting, like you can see that because I
Yes.
can't because I'm not the host. Okay.
Yes. Yes. I mean, probably if you go to, and this is all live right now. So if you go to the like public link for the stream, you could probably mute the audio and see it.
Right.
But
No,
now this,
I was just curious. Yeah, that's
yeah,
doing it. This is it.
we
We're
are.
we're live.
We are
We're
live,
live.
but now so hey everyone. I'm doing a second attempt at having a guest, and Jack was not supposed to be on screen right away. But make it work. We're improvising,
Yeah.
and that's fine. And it looks okay. It keeps saying that YouTube is not getting much data, but that's fine. Um, yeah, let me just let's see. I can make our pictures a little. Let's see. We're gonna put our pictures side by side because so Jack, one of the things. See, I meant to take all the things that we were texting and put it in my notes. Um, but you had said something that made me laugh because, and maybe you can recall it as I'm trying to multitask, which I suck at, by the way. You had said something that made me think that when I managed a team, the team had coined a term for me that they called jackified. And they said
Nice.
that's when I have to go above and beyond and over the top to make something look pretty. Oh, that was in your bio where you said you like to do things with a flare of enthusiasm or something, which
Yeah.
again,
Well, I use the word contagious enthusiasm
yes, that's
because
it. Contagious
yes.
enthusiasm. And
Right.
yes, I feel like my team used to describe me as sort of like that, but I would make everything had to be pretty and colorful, and they called it jackified. And when you said that, I was like, that gave me that
Love it.
same vibe, which I thought was
I love
fun.
it. I
All
love it because that's
right,
part
so
of it, right?
it is, and now we have Jack and Jack. So all right, we are almost at whatever. It doesn't have to be pretty. Cool. So we are side by side on the stream. Awesome. Let's see. It is 1:09 p.m. on the East Coast. Thank you for joining. I we spoiled the intro, but that is all right. For those of you who got the newsletter, we are doing an Ask Me Anything because my brain is still in vacation mode and I couldn't think of a topic. And my new friend Jack and I were chatting on the side, and he said, "Hey, it would be fun to join you." So I said, "Cool. Let's just talk. Let's answer questions because let me get my intro. I have an intro.
I
I
love it.
swear I do. I swear I do. And Jack, you've given me confidence where you said that my stumbling and fumbling seems to somehow emit confidence to people that they can do this and screw up and it's okay.
Yes, that
So I keep
because
that
honestly,
in the
that's
back of my head.
right. Well, think about your worst nightmares. Like, oh, the tech doesn't work. I don't know what to say. I'm super awkward, all this stuff, and you do it anyway. I
Uh-huh.
mean, if that's not a motivation for people to, I mean, if the worst thing that happens happening right now, it's like you're already through it. So, it's like
Yeah.
it just takes the wind out of it a little bit. So who cares? It's like, listen, you got to start
It-
somewhere, and that's
yes.
this the only way it can get it more comfortable is that you have to get through it being uncomfortable first.
Ah, yes. And you have to start somewhere. And I posted on LinkedIn this morning that I got an email from YouTube. Well, I knew this, but I hit 100 subscribers. And I
I
thought,
mean,
I like, yeah,
that's a huge deal from like 0 to 100. I mean, that's like a
yeah,
really huge deal. So,
thank you.
congrats on
And at
that. That's
first I thought
fantastic.
this is
I love
pathetic,
it.
but I'm getting really excited. But you have to start somewhere. You do. Alrighty. All right. There
Right?
you are. I lost you for a second. All right. Let's jump into all right, so I'm recording. now just in case we lose this. Then I want to start with my little intro. So this is my new friend Jack Elliott. He is just a little bit north of me in New York City. I'm down here in New Jersey. And what I wanted to start out with, well, your intro that you sent me is that I wanted to have Jack on here because I feel like we were meant to meet a long time ago, but everything happens for a reason. And I found Jack. And well, let's back up. This should never have happened, by the way. I don't think I told you this story, but we should never have met. And YouTube is telling me there is an error, but I'm still alive. So whatever. I was supposed to go. Jack and I met at the Small Business Expo in New York City. I was supposed to go to the one in Philly in April, and I
Ah,
was in the emergency room because my thumb got infected. And I, I emailed, I'm
I
literally
mean,
sitting there in the ER. My mom was like, I'm going to come with you so you're not bored. I'm like, Mom, it's fine. Like, I'll work by myself in the hospital. My mom comes with me. My husband's with the kids. And I'm emailing the expo because I paid for the paid ticket for the happy hour and stuff, saying, I'm in the ER. Like, can you transfer my ticket to New York? And they're like, oh, of course. Of course. So we shouldn't have met, but here we are.
we have your
But
infected thumb to
to,
thank for this meeting.
yes,
You can't make that kind of stuff up.
no. And everything happens for a reason. So
True.
I thought that could be a fun intro into how we met because I went to the New York Expo and that was a shit show it should have taken me 90 minutes max with traffic to get through the tunnel. It took me over 3 hours to get to the
Yeah,
city. And I didn't
yeah.
want to take the train because I kept thinking it takes longer than driving. I don't
Right,
mind driving in the city. Well, fuck that. Like it was a nightmare. So
right.
I looked at the agenda and Jack was giving a breakout session called Designing Work That Works, where your workflows break and how to fix it. And I thought, that's literally a title I would make up if I was to give a session. So I said, I have to go meet this dude. So that's that's how we met. And here we are
Yeah.
now.
Well, I love it because the best part about the meeting was that you didn't even come to the thing because it was scheduled for this other part, which is like, to me, the best part of it was like, you didn't even have to see it. You walked right up to me, just a beeline
Yeah.
right down the middle of the thing before the thing was starting. Was like, "Hi!" I'm like, "Yes!" This, and I was like,
Because
"No,
that's what I
go!
do.
I need to be in the room." But yeah, I
Yeah.
saw a lot of, I saw a lot of head nodding. So I think that's
Mhm.
why you and I hit it off, because I think
Mhm.
we're at that inflection point where, people know it's broken out there, but
Yeah.
so many reasons as to why people can't necessarily fix it, whether it's just
Yeah.
where they're in the, within the organization, the tools that they
Mhm.
have. There's lots of things, as you know. So
Yeah.
it's right. I think when you hear
Yes.
someone else who's like, yes, so it's like, again, we have to stick together because
Yes. 100%.
you know, spread the word, you know.
Yeah. And what was I gonna say? I feel like the irony of it is I didn't sit in on your session because I went to speed networking hoping I would meet somebody who could be a client. And, at the end of the day, this was the most valuable thing that came out of it, which I think is even better. So
Yes, absolutely.
it worked out.
I agree. The universe and
Yeah. The
thumbs.
and and thumbs. Yes.
Right.
So I have a very I was asking you questions in text and I thought of something to lead off this ask me anything. So because we do similar work and you and I are kind of in a similar boat where I should probably let you tell your story, but you have your consulting business about a year longer than I have, but we're still kind of figuring it out, even though we're both really good at what we do. But now we're just trying to figure out how to put that into practice in a business. So my question to you is,
Yeah.
I'll backtrack a little bit. Very close with my parents, like, we hang out, we drink all the time, and I was with my parents a couple weeks ago, and my dad is retired, and he works at a liquor store part-time right now, and he was saying to me, "I have no idea what you do. People ask me what you do, and I have no idea what to tell them." So my question for you
It's
is
like Chandler from
how
Friends.
yeah. So how would you sum up what we do in a way that our dads could understand from
Okay,
your
so
perspective?
you want the yes, you want the dad version.
For
Okay.
yes, I
So
would I wanna hear
I
how
thought a
you
few
would put the dad version.
And so, well, well, I mean, I'll back up. The
Okay.
long and short of it, right, is for us, I'm a little bit older than you are. And so as I've been doing this
I'm
for a
getting up there
long
though. I'm
time,
40. I'm 40 this year. I mean, you don't look that old.
I'm much older than
Much
that.
old.
I'm
Oh,
much older.
okay. I feel
Yeah,
old, but
I
I
just
know it's
turned
relative.
I just turned yeah. Well, here's the thing. When you've been doing this, I started as like boots on the ground project manager, right? And I
Yep.
happened to work in an industry in printing and graphic design, and our
Yep.
clients were every single business and industry you could. I've never met an industry I haven't worked with, just because everyone needed those types of services, right? So,
Yeah.
we were a very consultative type of company where we didn't just
Okay.
do projects. We weren't a vendor. We were a true partner. So you're looking
Okay.
under the hood of
Yep.
all of the businesses, and it was my job to get their work done. So
Yeah.
to be able to have that intimate relationship of looking across industries, across up and down the, like, from the, messenger to the CEO,
Yeah.
I've had purview at every level, from every angle, doing everything. So as
Mhm.
a result of that, what I do now, and the consulting space is what it is, but it's not
Mhm.
necessarily, I'm very, so to your point, trying to figure it out. I'm pivoting more of the one-to-one consulting thing for me. A lot of people don't hire consulting. They don't come in at the point of intervention in a consultative way. They hire for it, sometimes
Yeah.
terribly, where they
Mhm.
have like, well, make a person fix it. I'm like, operations is not an actual job description. That's a structural function of the job. And then people do the things that you need to do after you organize and design them. So that's where we're at. So
We
basically,
need a megaphone and stand in the streets of the city and just scream this out.
correct. Correct. So basically, if they call it, I mean, it's sort of a stupid buzzword, but strategic operations. And I think it does have
Mhm.
to have the word strategy in it, because it has to be designed and thoughtfully and sort of throughout the organization. So
Yep.
I help people design workflows to get whatever it is they need to do done successfully.
There you go.
Product, services, what do you need to do? Let's break it down.
That's
Start from the end. What's the goal?
yeah.
And everything before that has to be structured to meet that end. The
There you
problem
go.
is like, yeah, so that's
Oh,
the
there's a
dad
lot of
version.
problems along the way.
There's so many problems along the way. So the dad version is, it's like kind of really, I think about, my grandfather was an engineer, and he was also a
Yes.
project manager, and
Yes.
it's
And your
struck.
company's named after your grandfather, right?
It is, yeah, and
That's
his
so
dog.
cool. And his dog. I
Yeah.
know. I saw that on your website. That is so cool.
Yeah, and the reason the homage, obviously, because like we were very close, and
Mhm.
but weirdly, we do the same thing. What his function was is they used to send him all over the country just to broken teams and fix things. He was like a fixer,
Yeah.
and I did not know that, really. I didn't
Okay.
understand truly until I was already doing that as a job, that that's
Yeah.
really what his function was. So I was like, oh my god, this
That's
makes so much
cool.
sense. So of
Yeah.
course, when it
Mhm.
came to naming the company, it was my tipping my hat to that.
I love that.
So, and he was also, they called him the Velvet Hammer, because he got
Velvet.
things done, but he was so nice and everyone loved him. And he was able to just sort of get buy-in and work
Yes.
across teams and across organizations, because he was no
Yes.
joke. He was like, you
Yeah.
wanted to do stuff for him because
Yeah.
he asked what it is that you needed, not,
Yeah.
I want to do strategy. It's like, that's also not how it works.
Yes.
So yeah, he got a lot of success, and I imagine, right, that's,
Yeah.
I think, also why we hit it off too, is because I
Yeah.
think your whole approach is like, you're like, very, let's no bullshit. Let's just get into it. I don't want to hear the
Yep.
nonsense. Tell me what you
Yes.
need. And so I think that's like a very specific way. And like you said, you're like, I'm not for everybody, and I don't care. But for
Yeah.
the people that you're for,
Yes.
that is the way that you do it. So I think that
Mhm.
there's something to that, where
Yeah.
teams will respond, because I think that it's a very disarming quality, and I think people feel comfortable, and they're like,
Yeah.
okay, like, it lowers the stakes, right? And it makes
Yes.
people feel like, I I have help, I have support. So I think that right, is also a very
Mhm.
consultative approach, and people
Mhm.
like more of a partner than a vendor, right?
Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the Velvet Hammer part, I wouldn't say that I have the velvet. I need to work on that. But I love hearing that
You're like,
history because
it's not as soft.
I
It's not
need
as
work
soft.
on
Yeah.
the soft. But
Right.
when you said
Hammer, yeah.
hammer, yes. But what you said just made me think of something too, like with my dad, like, he tells stories about when he was in college and he, like, had a job for a collections agency, and, like, he was the bad guy, but he would tell these stories about knocking on people's doors, but telling the story in a way that people were apologizing to him at the end that they weren't paying their bills, and, like, the wa
Right.
and when when him and I own
Yep.
the brewery together, and you there's a I don't know how New York works, but in New Jersey, like, you have to pay your alcohol bills to distributors, like, on time or you're reported to the liquor board, and they could shut you
Right.
down and make you cash only for all liquor. It's a big deal. So, if
Right.
there were bars that were behind on their bills, my dad would call them up, like, super nice and be like, "Look," and he would make stuff up half the time, but I would listen and just be in awe. He would call him and be like,
Yeah.
If the ABC comes in and audits my books, I don't wanna have you on my list, my hands are
Right.
tied here," and he would just phrase it in a way, and I'm like he was
Yep.
like the chat GPT to finesse things before it existed. I'm like, "Shit, like,
Yeah.
I have RBF all the time, and my tone of voice sucks." So I'd be like, "Give" I'd be like, we need to be paid, or else the state's gonna come make you pay
Yeah.
cash all the time." Like, I
Well,
don't have that finesse, and he did,
but
and
I
it's awesome to watch.
but I think you bring up a good point. I think part of that is I'm convinced, and I will die on this hill, is when you have a person who's great at a job and there's other functions of that job that you're not great at. I don't know
Mhm,
why organizations don't recognize that because here's like, as you know, right? I'm great at a thing. Someone
mhm.
promotes me to manager because what else is there? Like in
Yeah.
work, like you're being
Oh, that's a
rewarded.
whole
Great.
topic.
Now you have,
Yeah,
what, well, what do they give you? People.
yeah, yeah.
Not everybody's great managing people. It's like, I'm
Yes.
fantastic at this thing. Great. Congratulations. You're no longer allowed to do that. Now you have to manage other people who probably aren't as good at you as the thing that you used to do. So just maybe just corral the people and then report on
Yes.
how the people are doing. And
No.
by
Uh,
structure, that's how it works. But really by function, having a direct report is
yes.
essentially a quality that to manage people. It becomes a sort of a tick in a box that's a good positive
Yes.
thing to make your career forward. But I
Mhm.
mean, honestly, in some ways, I think that structurally that could be pulled apart and have like, it's like I'm great at a thing, but I also don't want to worry about like Gary's dentist appointment. Like I don't really need to worry about Gary's career and
I
mentoring him. Maybe that's not my skill. Maybe there could be
yes.
a people person and an ops person to handle that part of it, your one-on-ones, and work with the
Yes.
ops person to do the
Mhm.
things. And I think sometimes that gets twisted. So when you said that story
Yeah.
about your dad, you're like, well, I'm not good at that. But that's the point. I think everyone has a zone of genius, right? And I
Yes.
think it's
Yes.
not the best thing in the world. Like a job shouldn't necessarily, it's so linear to think of like you have to do all these things within this role
Mhm.
function. It's like, is that the best for the company? Is that the best
Mhm.
person to do that job? And often that's structurally so rigid, and I think it's a huge miss. I think if there could it's not necessarily flattening the organization, it's just being more
Yeah.
thoughtful about putting people and having them thrive in the best things that they're good at. It's just so
Yeah.
stupid to do the other way, but I mean,
I I
I
hear
might
you.
be alone in that theory, but I
No,
think it's true.
I feel like that could be a whole topic of
Yeah,
conversation by itself.
yeah,
Alright, well, I
yep,
did
because
oh, go ahead, sorry.
yeah, go ahead. No, go ahead. Yeah, we have
Oh, no, I'd
questions to
say
get to.
got a bunch of questions
Yeah.
that I got over the last day that I feel like could tie into this. So I know you had, or at least you said you were gonna prepare some questions for me. So you wanna go back and forth?
Absolutely.
All right. So some of these I feel like maybe we could both tackle, but
Yep.
this question as well. Let's see. Which one should we do first? Let's see. One is more for me. It's more about PMing and parenting. But
Mm,
this one I feel like is this one's got some teeth to sink into it. How do you
uh-huh.
handle a team member who has conflicting objectives and undermines everything because their interests are not aligned with the team? And their department has been mandated to follow a system, but they don't want any part of it. So as a consultant or as a manager, how do you handle that person?
Well, the first thing is
This is from
if you
Julie,
look
by
at
the way. Julie,
okay,
if
Julie,
you watch
Julie,
this.
this one's for you. So what you're describing though, so for example, if I was a consultant, right? And you just described to me, so let's call it like 5 people across, let's say they're the department heads of 5 different like sales, marketing, whatever. Let's
Mhm.
say that person Gary, I don't know why I'm stuck on
Yeah.
that name. Let's say Gary is the one who has the troubles, right?
Yes,
So let's
yes.
focus on Gary. So if I were brought in as a consultant, and I think we're probably talking, if it's a structure like that, we're talking about middle
Yeah.
management, which I love talking about that.
Sure.
So
Or
that
I'm
middle
wondering
way,
too if
right?
Julie is curious how to handle this on her own team as well.
Yeah, right.
But we could
Because I
get
think I agree. So I'll start out because I think obviously you have something to bring to this. I'll give one lens, and then I
sure,
can sort of kick it back to you from a consultative. I'll take it from that perspective, and then maybe
sure.
from your PMing, right? Of like,
Yeah.
because both of us would be in that structure. Let's just
Yep,
say.
yep.
So Gary in sales, right? This is his problem. This is his department. He's got the friction, and he doesn't want to comply with the rest of the mandate, right? That's what's
Yeah.
happening. He's like, not on my watch. Okay, Gary. So if you were, if I was brought in as a consultant, to me, right? And this is actually, I think, the larger point, which is the perfect point, because there's two things happening here. So, as a consultant, I'm going to have one answer
Mhm.
structurally to solve that. But here's
Yeah.
the thing: as a PM, let's just call it a PM who's working in that ecosystem, and they're
Mhm.
sort of trapped by that. They don't really have the power to create change. So, you have to
Mhm.
work in a broken system. Like that
Yeah.
is that's what you're dealing with. As a
Sadly, yeah.
consultant, right. As a consultant, there is no way in under any circumstances that I would start with Gary.
Oh,
That's not
no.
my
Oh,
but
no, because
that's
you know it's trickling down.
no, 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 no.
No?
I need I need to talk to Gary's boss.
Oh, that's what I mean. The attitude is trickling the
Oh,
attitude is
100%.
starting from the top, and
Correct.
it's
Right.
yes, that's
So
what I
we
meant.
have the layer where Gary is. And so I guess
Yes.
what I'm saying is that the fact that the fact that that's happening,
Yes.
the red flag is that there is an environment where that's allowed to happen.
Exactly.
So it's
Yes.
like the soil, like, right, if you're talking about, like, metaphors, that's
Yeah.
already how you do things, which is
Yeah.
there should be no structure that exists that one rogue element would be able to stop something that is structurally designed a certain way. Gary
Yes.
could not really do that. So
No.
the question to me is what's happening or what's not happening or what was
Yes.
never worked on or designed is a system like what's Gary's problem? Let's get to the
Yeah.
meat of it.
Where's the
Why
misalignment?
correct. Like what's the if they don't want to comply with whatever the mandate is, why?
Yes.
Who's benefiting from you stopping that? So if it's just your team, they're like, not on my is it financial? Is it structural? Is it operational? Like
Yeah.
what are the triggers that make you say, well, I can't do that because
Mhm.
Gary, and look at it from another lens, Gary might be right. Let's just say for a second, in a
Sure.
way, because his vertical that's going to screw everything up. So he
Yeah.
might be advocating for his own sort of his own back, and
Yeah.
that might be true. And that's the
Yes.
other thing. It's like I always like I have a blog and it's called Parallax because parallax in science is like I'm looking at it from this angle, it's one thing, but if you
Yes.
turn from another, it's something completely different. And
Yes.
everyone has their own skin in the game.
Yes, of
So
course.
Gary, who 5 minutes ago was like, Gary. But now, if you think of it like that, it's like, Gary, I mean, he's got a point. So I think
Yes.
for me, that's where I would start, where
Mhm.
there's no way that he's the entry point for solving the problem for
Yeah.
me as a consultant. So I'll kick
Mhm.
it back to you. And like, I would reframe the question back to say, what would you do? And I think that's like a variation of a question that I have.
Mhm.
How do you handle working in a broken system. If
Yeah.
you were doing this was your job. You're like, my job also depends on it, Gary. So how do you almost
Yeah.
like take care of your own little patch of grass as a
Mhm.
person who's in this
Yeah.
scenario how do you manage your way out of a really difficult situation? I guess that's
Yeah.
I'll kick it
I
over
feel
to
like
you.
if we zoom out even more, like if I'm not the consultant, if I'm the PM, like you said, if I don't have the authority to, you know, do anything else but PM, like, well, I'm gonna zoom out anyway. I feel like it comes down to like a change management system too. And so many companies just don't think change management is I wish I could be a change management certified expert. Like the psychology of it to me is
You can
fascinating.
be.
I have
You can be.
no
You should be.
expertise.
If
Like
that's you should be.
I have no expertise in it, but it's fascinating to me, and I ask a I feel like I'm a PM detective, like, I ask so many questions, and that's where I would start with this too is,
I call it forensic project management.
uh, alright,
Yeah.
can we take a step back again? I went to school originally to be a forensic
Uh-huh.
scientist and basically
Uh-huh.
flunked out of chemistry, and my girlfriend who I played lacrosse with was like, "Come over to business, you'll have so much more time to play lacrosse and party." I was like, "Yay!" So,
Yo, but
I was
right.
wanted to be a forensic scientist. So, yeah, I
Yeah,
love
well,
that.
I mean, number one, I think if the one thing that you would have to have in order to start even getting, because there's even certifications, like, I mean, there are
Yeah,
many, many things that you can do to study that discipline, and you
yeah,
don't need anyone's permission to do that. If you're interested in it, I think you could
mhm,
learn just from all of the
yeah,
things, and you can bring that lens, because I think you have to. I think you have to bring
yes,
that lens if you're
yeah,
going to create changes, especially in your now role, which is like, I think I'm not just a PM anymore.
yes,
I'm looking at this holistically,
yeah,
and I can help
yeah,
clients when you're looking at it from that lens.
yeah,
Definitely bring that into it, because
mhm,
you are 100% correct, is that you have to.
yeah. The
There's no
reason I
way around it.
haven't,
Yeah.
and I feel like I wasn't able to put my finger on it until you and I chatted last, was that is something that you've gotta convince people they need, and I don't think it's worth based on our last conversation that everyone was not privy to, we were talking about how frustrating it is to convince people they need fixing when they may even say they need fixing, so
Yeah.
I
But I
that's
think
I haven't
I
pursued it
agree.
per se.
Yes, but I'm gonna offer something else, because I've sort of have a little bit of a different lens, and I hope
Sure,
it's valuable to
that's
you,
what this is for.
is yeah, I truly think it changed everything for me when I said, I'm going to just stop trying to sell my stuff to people who don't want it." And it's just that simple, because I
Yeah,
truly believe, because when people say that they, need help, there's many different ways that you would be able to position yourself to help people, but it's
yes,
not going to be looking at things that are probably incorrect. They're right. There's no entry point if people aren't looking for it. It's needs based, right? Like, it's like,
yes.
I always use this analogy. It's like a plumber going door to door. It's like, how your pipes? How's your toilet working? It's like, get out of here, buddy. Nobody asked you. But I feel like, I know it's probably
Yeah,
broken. Feel like it's not. It's not.
yeah.
So when your toilet overflows, you're gonna get the call. So
Yes,
it's one of those things where change management, also same thing. That's also a tough gig once you get it, once you're in there, but at least the first, it's like the first mover that's already happened, is that someone
yes,
asked for it.
yes,
So
yes.
I think it's just a slight mindset shift of saying,
Mhm.
like, that what that is from a consultative basis, right? It's a hard nut to crack if
Yeah,
99% of the work, I'm like already exhausted, like, is just me trying to convince you that you need it. I think that's a
yes,
losing game, but I think things like this, that's why I
yeah.
encourage you to do it, is that the more
Mhm.
people see and hear what you have to say, which is
Yeah.
valuable and very
Mhm,
specific. You have a lot of experience with helping people, from the tech side of things. I know you're like
mhm.
a ClickUp. What do you call it? Is that like a partnership? What do you like? You have like a
I mean, technically, I am a ClickUp verified consultant. So,
right,
what got
right,
me into this is I had worked for a consulting company who was a ClickUp partner who all the professional services ClickUp sold got booted to our company. So, we helped companies implement like if they got an enterprise plan, they were required to do an onboarding and we I was a technical PM doing the onboarding. So that's still my foot in the door, but
right.
I like, that's still my claim to
Right.
fame, which it th this oh, go ahead, sorry.
I was just gonna say, I have a question if you want to answer it, because I
Yes,
knew I knew
yes, that's
that
what this is
you
for.
right. So it has relating specifically to the ClickUp thing. So I think it's a good segue. So
Sure,
um,
fire away.
you tell me if this is true, because I think it might be. So
Okay,
two things. It might be a two-parter. One is,
alright.
what do you do when each team is using their own tool and no one wants
Uh,
to consolidate? Because I think there's an adoption thing, right? This might be ringing some bells for you,
Hu
right? And so ClickUp's in place, but adoption is low.
yes.
How do you turn that around? So I think um, there's change management in there, because
Yes,
people resist. Like, that's like
yes,
it's built into the gig. I mean, you can't avoid. You
yes,
already do it, whether or not you call it
yes,
that, because that's what it is. So,
Yes.
right, so how do you like right, if
Yes.
that's your role and you're like, "I'm here to sort of implement this," you're gonna get the pushback,
Yes.
bringing poor Gary back into it. Gary's got a
We
problem with it. Gary's
Yeah.
team is
Yes.
not he's not down.
Yes.
So yeah, I mean, how do you deal with that kind of friction when you're like, "I know that you need this, just listen to me." Like,
Yes.
how do you deal with that, from a
Yes.
consultative lens?
Yes, yes, and sorry, I'm battling this cold, like, I'm sniffling like crazy. But so when I and this is public knowledge, but I got laid off from the consulting company. When I went out on my own, the very first blog article I wrote was called "Why Your SaaS Implementation Failed." And the first line of it is, "Spoiler alert, this is not actually about why your SaaS implementation failed, it's about everything else, the baggage that came with it." Because what I what I
Mm.
noticed and observed over the what was it 2 years that I was with this consulting company is ClickUp sold these very narrow, and you could attest to this, like a 20-hour implementation project where we could get almost nothing done. And what I found over and over and over and over and over again is that companies would take broken processes or non-existent processes, buy ClickUp, and, like, throw coins in a wishing well, hoping that ClickUp was gonna magically solve their problems.
Make the
So
robots do it.
yes, so I
Make
need
the
to
AI make it work.
make it yeah, ClickUp will solve everything. So I need to coin this or trademark it or something, but, I have developed in my brain, like, a project management or SaaS sandwich where it doesn't matter what the SaaS is. On one end of the bread is your systems and your processes, because if they don't exist, the tool's useless. I actually saw a YouTube video yesterday, from another person in our kind of in our world, process driven, Layla, and she says, "Your software is not your
Oh,
system."
I watch her, I love
You
her.
Yes, yes. So she
She's
had a
so
video out that
great.
I watched yesterday. Your software is not your system. Like, exactly. So shout out Layla.
So
But
good. Yeah.
so on one bread is your process and systems. The meat, is your software. But then on the other end is the change management to deal with the adoption. And that was a long way to get there. But I could sum up almost every single kickoff that I've had in the last 3 years with, "This is the 4th project management tool we've tried to implement in the last 2 years. Everybody's
All
still
these
working in
tools are terrible.
yeah, we've got 27 spreadsheets, and we're emailing, and we're texting, and we got Post-it
Right.
notes." And so that was where the change management part of the sandwich came in, but I wasn't able to tackle that with the narrow scope of the ClickUp, like, sold projects. So the way I try to handle it by myself, excuse me, is first I kind of do a like a tech stack audit with the clients, and be like, what are you using? Or tell me how you're project managing. Is it by carrier pigeon? I had a client call yesterday, and they wanted to build a new workflow in ClickUp, and I've already been working with them on other workflows, and they want, like, a general task management workflow. I'm like, "Well, that could be anything. Tell me more." They're like, "Well, if I wanna request something from the marketing team, like, we send emails, we send Slack messages, we send, like, Post-it notes, we need a central place." I'm like, "Perfect." So I try to first, with the detective, find out everything they touch in their work. So, does somebody have a private spreadsheet they're hoarding that they don't wanna give up for dear life because they
On
love
their
their fucking
desktop?
spreadsheets? Like, and I think I've shown you this. I
Right,
have this and I love this, but spreadsheets have their use, but not for project management. Don't tell
right.
me ever use project management
Yeah,
spreadsheets. Anywho, so first I like
yep,
to just figure out what's going on and
right.
and find out what people are clinging on to and find out, why the again, lots of questions, why the other tools failed, why the resistance is there. And
Mhm.
and I
It's like
you know,
peeling the whole thing back. It has to go back
yes,
all the way to but yeah,
and there's so much to
right.
unpack. I feel like even that initial question
Yeah,
is it's not just surface deep. There's so much that it takes a lot of time
yeah,
to fix and
sure.
triage and
Yeah,
diagnose.
uh-huh.
And so I sorry, I don't have a quick answer, but for the adoption, like, first I try to find out, why did your previous adoption fail? We're kind of like interviewing people. Were there specific points of resistance? Was it too complicated? Was it unclear? Because I feel like a lot of things come down to communication as well, like that first question. How do you deal with Gary? Well, maybe nobody communicated with Gary why this was happening. So Gary's sitting his head going, I'm not fucking doing this because nobody
Yep.
told him why it's important or how it fits into the bigger picture. So communication, and
Mhm.
I know this is going to sound fluffy and I know I'm very anti fluff, but like giving people, and I don't like buzzwords either, but like giving people like the safe space to feel like they can bitch about what doesn't work without feeling like they're going to be have
Yep.
repercussions that Gary's bitching and whining. Ugh, Gary again. Like, but
Yeah.
if nobody's comfortable bitching and whining about what doesn't work, you don't know what to fix.
Yeah.
I feel like I
And I
tell my
think,
kids that to like
yeah.
somebody that's been parenting. Like, if I don't know what's wrong, like my kid, one of my youngest son is notorious for crying and being mad and grumpy, but won't talk to me. I'm like, I can't help you if you don't talk to me. So as a
Mhm.
consultant, and when I was I was like the PM of the PMs, like as a
Yep.
leader and a consultant, like I want people to feel completely comfortable talking to me without fear of, well, I'm going to go rat them out to their boss. Like, cause I don't know unless you tell me.
Right, right, and if there's a culture of fear where it
Yes.
shows up as resistance and it shows up as vulnerability, which is then just more pushback,
Yeah.
people don't know, and I mean,
Yeah.
because the alternative is true. Sometimes it will have a bad result if these things just change without, and that's to your point too. If you don't go back to find the real problem,
Mhm.
it's possible that, right, like half a change management is worse than nothing, no
Yes.
intervention. Because
Yes.
if you don't, and then because what happens is that ultimately people know it's broken, so they just keep trying. So if you keep doing it wrong, that's when you
Yes.
just get like, we're at an all hands meeting and just you're just absolutely, people are like, again, and they
Well, yeah,
resist, and they
same
will forever,
shit. Yeah.
because they
Again,
lose faith and they lose trust in the system,
yes.
because you're like, well, I'm just going to do it my way, because nothing that it just completely invalidates any kind of effort moving forward. So that's
Yes.
why something like a big sweeping change has to be
Yes.
well thought out, and you have to,
Yes.
right, do the discovery of like, what is Gary whining about? What is the
Yeah.
problem, Gary?
Yeah. And
And
like you
like
said,
I
there
said,
may
there
be a
may be
legit reason. But if nobody took the
100%.
time to hear him out,
Correct.
like people
Correct.
just want to, this is why I say I love psychology. Like people just want to be heard out. Like, hear me out.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I don't have to agree with you, but I want to understand where your brain is, how your brain works,
Right.
why your brain's
Right.
thinking that way.
Well, and I think, if you think about it, where I'm more of my focus is thinking about like, if you are so far away from the work, which is like, welcome to corporate America. I mean, we've been doing this for a very long time. This isn't new, where you're designing for strategy up top and you're doing things from,
Hmm.
there's a broad strokes and all the things. You're
Yes.
so far away from the work. There's a huge disconnect where all the little sort of workarounds and the way things really get done. And so I
Yes.
always say, I'm like, I say the quiet parts out loud, and you have to get that
Yeah.
shit out in the open, and you
Yes.
have to, have you ever heard of like, the desired path? It's like a thing where like you'll see it like, walking around in a park, and
Yeah.
it's like a cement walkway, but all of a sudden you'll
Okay.
see this path, the grass that naturally people will go. So whatever that is, and it's
Okay.
dirt, you see it. It's called a
Okay.
desired path. Like, people will find a way. It is human nature, and they will
Yes.
find a workaround if what you're presenting to them does not work. And sometimes the structure is just too rigid, too big, too long, all the
Yes.
things. This is how we do it. This is what I was told. But you're just going to go on the path because that's just what you
I
do.
know.
But at scale,
Yes.
it's a disaster. So
It is. Oh,
if you don't figure out what they're actually, doing, and
yes.
what their struggles truly are, and
Yes.
a lot of people who are the most important, like I'm like, don't mess with your project managers, because they are literally the lifeblood of what you're
Yes.
doing. They're delivering the
Yes.
work. They're delivering the
Yes.
work, doing the work.
Yes.
And so if you don't give them what they need, then you're going to get all of the pushback, all the things. So I think your
Yes.
point, and I'm agreeing, is that I honestly think it's a co-creation, but you have to go
Mhm.
where the work is, and you have to know how it's getting done. And you have to create a safe enough environment where they'll really tell you the truth on how it's getting done. Not just
Yes.
like go to another meeting and take another thing and put a new process in place. People are like, okay, you
Yeah.
really have to get to the meat of it, or it won't work. It just won't. And you
Yeah.
know that, I know that. And I I'm sure as
Yeah.
you get further along into like, especially when you're trying to get people to adopt tech, I mean, that's just like a whole other animal of it all
Yes.
because project management systems are not enterprise wide. They're for project managers. So you just have to
Yes.
download the shit from it and then you have to re-disseminate it somewhere else at
Yes.
scale, which is also a huge time suck.
Excuse me.
So there needs to be some
Yeah.
big structural changes where I think you can tackle them, like not to,
Yeah.
sound so doom and gloom. I think it's totally doable. And sometimes it's just
Yeah.
chunking off pieces at a time. Maybe you
Yes.
just start with Gary's department. They're like, let's dig in, Gary. And you do it maybe because also not only is enthusiasm contagious, so is success.
Yes.
So if you do it once, I probably bet you'd make a case for doing
Yes.
it again
Oh,
and again. And sometimes you have
yes.
have to do it that way because you have no choice.
Yes. Oh, that has happened, and that's when I get excited. Like, again,
Yeah,
my work still focuses around ClickUp implementations or ClickUp optimizations, but
right.
I start with the process piece. I start with the org piece. But what so many clients that I've worked with where we get something working in ClickUp and they're like, I can't believe you did that. Like that makes our
Yeah,
like we used to do this and this and then they're like, okay, now the marketing team wants to see what you can do now because then I have a client like this right now. We just worked on their software development lifecycle workflow, and like they make software and they've got a services component, but like any business, they've got marketing, they've got IT, they've got operations. So now they're like, well, now the marketing team wants to get their forms and their requests and their PM. I'm like, great, let's do it. So I feel like you get in, circling back a lot, you get
yep,
in, at least for me, I find I get in the door leading with ClickUp and helping them iron out their processes. And then it's like the Trojan horse for the change management. And again, like I said, I'm not an expert, but I build the trust. We get wins, and I'm like, well, I can help you with if you, and then the retainers just keep flowing,
yep.
and we keep helping
That's
when the clients. But as you know, the clients have to want the help, and they got to be willing to put the time in.
and I think, like I said, I can't stress this enough, and that's why I keep and saying like, and we all do, right? Encourage each other. Where these are the things that are super important about this
Yep.
is sort of talking about it, getting your work out there,
Yep.
having people understand the way. Because a lot of people, if it's not your like sort of job, quote
Excuse me.
unquote, and it isn't for a lot of people. That's the thing where
Yes.
work moves around the organization, and they might
Yeah.
not have that holistic view of knowing that like something as simple as like implementing a software is like it's really not that simple. That is just literally the first layer, and
Yes.
every single thing I always call like that's the other part. A lot of times, if you're too far away from the work, you go
Mhm.
and I call it like the last mile of delivery. It's like it's not like the delivery is not the problem. If the delivery is faulty, it's really not where you start. You have to go
Yeah.
all the way back and figure out everything that happened beforehand in
Yes.
order to fix that. So I
Yes.
think when people start to go, oh, and also I think the bigger thing about being in a consultative space is it's like, accountability can exist without fault or blame. So it's like everybody relax. You
Yes.
don't need to have a target on your back. And I think when
Mhm.
people hear consultant, when people hear, oh, because the model isn't great, where people are like, well, you have to have a consultant come in and fix it. And it doesn't have to
Yeah.
be that way. So I guess that's what I
Yes.
mean by saying like, working with people who you're not battling that frame of mind.
Yes.
You're not battling
Yes.
you're looking for people who are like, God, we just, like I said, everyone has their zone of genius, and
Yes.
sometimes we just sort of have to, bring in like exactly like if my lights go out, like I'm gonna call an electrician.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna like try to have my team to save money, be like, oh, put the wires. I mean, it's like, get out of here. It's like you call somebody who knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
And so I think it's not necessarily intuitive to be this sort of like, subject matter expertise because we've been doing
Mhm.
this and it is a very specific thing. And
Yeah.
it's not something necessarily evidenced by how crazy it is out there that people aren't that good at it.
Yes.
They're just not that good at it. So like I said, coming at it from a place of like partnership versus
Yes.
we're gonna fix what's
Agree.
wrong. It's like nobody wants to hear that shit. It's like
Yes.
I have some
Yes.
things that I know over these course of my experiences. Let's get
Yes.
into it. Let's unpack it.
Yes.
Let's be honest about it. And I
Yes.
think you do have that approach of like I'm not interested in that other thing. And I
Yes.
do think
But
that people respond to that well, I think.
so we need a movement that consultants are not threats. We're not a big four. Like we're
Correct.
not going to come in and
Yeah.
take, cut your jobs. We're
Well,
there to
it's not
help.
financial restructuring and like you're gonna
Yes.
give,
Yeah. It's not. Yeah. We're not those
basically
kind of consultants.
you're checking a box, you're cutting expenses at the
Yep.
risk of like, and then you're putting a PowerPoint on somebody's desk and saying this is the strategy that you have to execute, which knowing
Yeah.
full well that probably the people that you're giving that to don't have the skills, resources, expertise that to do what that is
Mm-hmm.
specifically, as
Yeah.
opposed to all of the other things in their own jobs. Same
Yes.
thing. It's like strategy isn't a PowerPoint deck. I mean, it's just not. And also, it's also like you can do all the strategy you want. It's like, what's the environment that you're putting that strategy
Yeah.
into, which is what we do.
Yep.
So that's like again, that's for all the dads out there for your explanation. It's like if you want something to work, if you want to plant a garden, the soil has to be
Yes.
healthy and rich and able to receive
Yes.
the things that you put in it to grow.
Yes, the foundation of the house has to be
That's it. I
structurally
mean, my
sound. Again, a super simple example. Like I use house analogies a lot when I'm explaining things. Something simple.
yeah, yeah, my entire life, I mean, again, this is a different live stream. All of my IP is architectural metaphors.
Love it.
You could not build a house without a blueprint, could you?
Yeah,
Good luck. You
exactly.
can't.
Yeah.
Not gonna
Nope.
happen.
No.
So, right, it's like it's
Yeah.
not a mistake that that's exactly where your brain
Yeah.
goes because it's
Yeah.
a no-brainer. It's
It
literally the
is.
most logical thing, and people
Yeah.
are like, they're just gonna run and gun it and be like, "Who's doing what? I don't know. We don't care. Let's just do
Yeah.
it." So,
Let's go. Ugh.
let's go. So yeah.
I got a less serious question. If you could
Yes.
delete one buzzword, business buzzword from the internet forever, what would it be?
Align.
That's my question. Align.
Uh-huh.
What would you replace it with?
Ugh. So when teams are trying to align, it's just such total bullshit because marketing has a different objective
The
than DevOps.
stars are
DevOps,
aligning.
right? DevOps has a different object. Everyone speaks
Yeah,
different languages. Everyone has different objectives. They have different skin in the game. You don't
yeah,
need to necessarily be aligned.
yeah.
You need to have visibility and you need to communicate.
Be on
And
the
then
same
you put
page? Would that
right, you put
that I
all of
mean,
those objectives
align,
holistically
okay.
into a system.
Yeah.
But alignment, I mean, it's like it's such a bullshit
It's
empty
like you go to
word
the chiropractor, you're getting an alignment?
yeah,
Yeah,
in that oh, just, should we just need to be aligned. It's like, what does that mean, Gary?
yeah.
What does that mean? What does aligned mean at the end of the day? We're
Ah,
aligned?
love it.
Oh,
Yes,
fantastic. What are we gonna do tomorrow? We're still
yes,
gonna be aligning. Okay, great. I'll see you at the next one-on-one because we're aligned now. What does that mean? I don't know. But if
yeah,
I had visibility over your roadmap, I could probably plan resources. I could probably understand what needs to be
true.
done across the
Yes,
organization. It's not alignment.
yeah,
Jesus Christ. It's not. So that's would
yes.
be forevermore. Now what's yours?
What's
What's your
mine?
word?
Chaos and clarity. I
Oh,
feel like those
yes.
2 go together all the time, and
Yep.
I'm fucking over them. Like, we're
Yeah.
gonna and,
That's
like,
basically
literally on
the
some
wooden
people's
sign of
like,
that's like
on
live, love,
homepages.
laugh.
Oh my god.
That's
Yeah, like,
that's
I hate when I go to
project management
somebody's
right.
go to somebody's homepage, "We end your chaos." I'm like,
Yeah.
"No," that's why I say
Yeah.
I'll unfuck your ops because that's tells a better story. It just and clarity makes
Well, and I
sense, but I
also
need
love
a different word for it because, yes, you need clarity, but I still don't I like to use mayhem instead of chaos. I
yeah.
feel like that paints a
Mayhem.
more
I mean, that's
fun
like right.
picture.
That's
Like
mayhem
or
is
like
that mayhem is a vibe. Mayhem
yeah,
is
like
definitely
but
a vibe.
clarity, like, I need a new word for clarity. I don't have one yet, but chaos and
Yeah.
clarity, like, bleh, get I'm over like,
'Cause
I'm
it's a
over
little
it.
bit the same thing as alignment, and I think that they're like they're twins in that same
Yes,
feeling that I get when I hear that.
yes, because it
A
doesn't yeah, it doesn't
100%,
mean
'cause
anything
it's
on the
not really
surface.
I need a little bit more than that.
Yeah,
No, uh-uh,
yeah.
yeah, and I
I
have I don't know if I have it here, like a an architectural design metaphor, right? And I have a
yeah,
whole thing about it. So it's like there's a thing in architecture, and I won't be able to find it now because we're live. But it's basically like, and I wrote like a companion sort of piece
Okay.
specifically to our industry, is that when you
Mhm.
design something, you design for the chair. Meaning a chair goes in a room goes in a house goes in a neighborhood goes in a city, right?
Okay.
But you have to design for the chair. You have to know
It's
where
like
the
the
work is. You
nested
have to know how
dolls.
it's getting. Yes, you have
Yeah.
to know how it's getting done. So at your all hands, at your all your, your town hall meetings, and you're like
Yeah.
blah blah blah, and people are like multitasking. It's just like, unless people are going to stop doing that and actually
Mhm.
understand how the work really moves and how it
Yeah.
should move and what people are struggling from, and listening to them and figuring out better tools,
Mhm.
better systems, better management
Yes.
techniques. Until you do that, you're just going to keep talking to the people, and they're going to, okay, whatever, dude. And they're going to do the things that they're going to do. They're going to do the workarounds until, right? Until
Yep.
hopefully maybe those companies
Yes.
say, we need help. Call Jackie. Like
Yeah.
that's what it is. I think the goal would be maybe to work with people a little bit, you know, closer to the beginning of what they're building. That's exciting to me, is that,
True.
sort of building out processes where it's not always going in to sort of fix them.
Yes.
It's maybe equipping people with tools that they might not, inherently have. Again,
Mhm.
everyone has a zone of genius, and
Yes.
new companies maybe need help sort of putting that together right the first time, which is
Yeah.
great.
Cool. Alright, I've got a really applicable question
Mm,
for me, but it would be for you too, I wanna touch on. It says, "I was busy and disorganized before I implemented the system and processes, and I've seen the gains from that, but now my time is taken up with managing the system. How do I tackle
mm,
that?" So, the way I personally tackle it, because I am a Jackie of one, um, I create the system, and I don't always do it, but I like to time block at least a day a month to review, because in my ClickUp, I've got a process library that
mhm,
needs updating, but I've got Google Docs with my processes, with all my steps that link to, where I need to go. And then in ClickUp, I've got a task for each process with a status. Is it up to date? Does it need updating? Is it under construction? So if I'm in the middle of something, and like as we were prepping for this, I did create an outline of all the boxes and things I need to click to get this damn stream live and working, but
right,
there's things missing. So if I had started this an hour before we went live, I would have updated that process on the fly, but I
right,
only do that if I've got the time. If
right,
I'm like I have a brand new client and I realize like my onboarding process needs updating. So I'm going to carve out time before the kickoff to, improve that process. But I try to indicate, well, not I try, I will indicate in my process library that it needs updating. I'll put a quick comment in the task so I know it needs to be updated, but then I'll schedule time for myself that's time just for that, to
right.
heads down focus and update, take new screenshots, whatever. So that is my answer, to not just be in the system all the time making fixes,
Yeah,
but carving out time to do the maintenance, like a
right,
car.
right.
You take the car to the mechanic, you put your processes through the mechanic.
Right, and I think you could think of that very holistically and kind of like as a mantra for process in general. Like, that's the thing. I mean, even automation, it still
Yeah.
has to be thoughtfully designed. You can't get,
Yes.
like, that's the thing, like, it just doesn't magically happen, right? So you're
Of
not gonna
course.
get out of the work at all.
No.
But to your point, right, you can make it measured and do it
Yes.
in these sort of blocks where I'm doing the structural thing that will then make the other parts, the day to day, sustain
Mhm.
itself until such other time when something has
Yes.
to be sort of structurally changed. And then
Mhm.
you sort of move out and think about it that way. You're
Yeah.
not going to get out of it, like, because it's not going to
No.
do itself, even though that's the thing. Like, the tool's not going to
No.
save you, right? The
And
tool
the
will not
process
save you.
evolves
The tool
constantly.
will help you, of
Yeah.
course. Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
I think that's a mindset shift more than it
Mhm.
is thinking about like the
Yeah.
tool is, am I doing it wrong? It's so much time to do this. It's like, well, okay, but the more thoughtfully you think about how you need to do things throughout the organization, the less
Yeah.
time it will take you in order
Yes.
to unpack that every time. Like, that
Yeah.
it becomes a refined way of doing it versus,
Yes.
every time it's just this
Mhm.
bare. I think
Yeah.
if you think about it that way.
And I always recommend too to clients with teams is assign an owner to each process. Like who does that the best? And they own
Right.
that process and they are in charge and they are accountable and it's all laid out so that you know
Correct.
who is is the one in charge because even if you have a team, you don't want to throw all that on one person. Like that's a
No,
nightmare.
and absolutely. And but like the ownership and the visibility of that ownership, right,
Mhm.
is the key point because at every one of those, I have a whole thing I've again because metaphors. I mean, that's just the way that I think. It's
Yep.
easy. People get it. It's explained. I call them operational joints. It's the two places where two things come together. And
Yep.
how does a joint work? Right? Like it needs to have friction. It needs to be flexible, but it needs all, and has to withstand
I love
pressure.
that.
It's all of those
Yeah.
things, and it needs to be literally drawn out on a a big surface when you're doing
Yep.
these things. It's how does work move through your organization? Where does it get blocked? How do the decisions get made? What happens if
Yes.
there's an escalation point? Who's responsible for that? And no one talks
Yeah.
about that ahead of time. So when you're
No.
in that moment, you're sort of scrambling around to find a way to figure out like where's Gary?
Yeah.
Where is Gary? Because he was supposed to approve this, and I have not heard back from him for 2 days. But that has consequences, Gary, because down the chain of events,
Yeah.
that one thing that no one really is taking
Yeah.
ownership of. So who's going to do it? Who's going to
It's
do it?
gonna
A project
snowball.
manager. Well,
Yeah.
and a project manager, call them brokers. Who's going to be the broker? Who's going to have to go all around the organization to find? It's like you're a politician, and you're like trying to like listen. If you do this, if you sign this today, I'll get.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like this back channeling and nonsense where I'm like,
Yeah.
just design it to
Yeah.
be, and then tell
Yes.
everyone that that's what it is.
Mhm.
And again, I think
There
that
you go.
happens naturally when growth outpaces process, right? And you're
Yes.
catching up, and it's hard
Yeah.
to do it when the train is moving. And
Yes.
that's the gig. That's the gig, though. So you got to figure it out,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Absolutely. All right, we're a couple minutes over, but we had planned to chat anyway. I have one last not serious question for you. I don't know if you have
Okay.
anything else for me. Uh, what is the story behind your boombox tattoo?
Well, as you can see right here, my
I
screen is full.
know. I
Yeah,
and you did say you
yeah,
like music and play instruments and
yeah,
it's nostalgic, so I wanna know.
yeah.
That's tattoos are so
So
personal.
yeah, they are. So but I got it so long ago. At least in my world, that tattoos that are sort of things and objects have sort of come into fashion. I got it
Mm.
so long ago. It was like, what are you put a radio on your arm? I
Like,
mean, now it's like,
right
I
on.
mean, you right, you do. But I grew up like I mean, I grew up in the 80s. That was my literally my jam.
Yeah,
So I think for me, it's like it just I don't know. There's an analog thing. I also have a phone, like a real phone that I have.
awesome.
Like I collect a lot of weird things.
That is cool.
A
You
lot
did
of
say you collect things. That's
yeah, yeah,
good.
yeah.
That's
So it's
awesome.
just yeah, it's like it really is part of who I am. Like I still have tapes,
That is
records. I like
awesome.
tactile things. I
Yeah,
love digital to the degree that I do, but that's not
yeah,
for me. There's something more about I'm a gadget person. I like
yeah.
actual physical things. I don't like, now
I
everything that we do, streaming is a file. I'm like, no, no, no,
I
give me the
know.
record.
I
I grew
miss
up, I grew up
yes.
like, I read the liner notes. I'm like, who produced it? I mean, as a kid, I'm
Yes,
like,
like,
who
you miss
drummed on
flipping
that?
through
Like,
the jackets
of
and the album
course.
covers, and I
Yeah.
know.
And so
I'm
when
much
I
more
found this,
tactical too.
yeah, when I found this I think it was like some kind of a flea market. Like
Yeah,
it's the boombox that I had as a kid. That's what I modeled the tattoo
that's
after. So
awesome.
of course I had to buy it.
That's very
Um,
cool.
yeah, yeah. So are you a
I love
tattoo
that.
person? I guess. Yeah. Okay.
I have one, but I am a wuss with pain, and
Mm,
I
yeah.
have it's on my wrist, and they said it's the most painful place I could have gotten it, and I had to go
That's
back
acceptable.
twice for a little itty bitty thing,
Yeah.
and, I would like to get more, but I'm a wuss, and
Yeah.
I have a not an issue, but I don't it took me a very I think I got this when I was tw 25-ish? And, like, there's
Yeah.
nothing that I could think of that I want permanently on me. Like
Well,
I've
that's
got
actually the best.
had
But
piercings,
that's the best.
I'm not opposed to it, I just don't know, like, what I want on me forever.
Well, and to be honest with you, that is the question that you would ask to get a tattoo. So that's like
Yes.
that's the you're exactly right.
Yeah.
People are like, what should I get as a tattoo? I'm like, the fact that you're asking me that, you shouldn't get one.
Yes. Like, my
You know what I
sister's
mean? Like,
covered in them, and
yeah,
they're all very meaningful to her.
yeah.
I
And
wouldn't put
sometimes,
all of those things on me, but that's her thing, and that's okay.
yeah,
Like, my 7-year-old's like, "I want a tattoo like Aunt Dana." I'm like, "You're gonna wait
yeah,
because you'd put, like, a Minecraft head on you or something, and then"
right. But also the other thing is that when you like in the tattoo culture, I mean, I mean, I have a lot of
Yeah.
them.
I'd love to
So
get a half sleeve, I just don't know what I would
yeah,
do.
yeah. Well, that's the thing. I think also what a lot of people do in the tattoo community is that like when you develop a relationship with a tattoo artist, sometimes they'll have an apprentice, and then if you have a lot of tattoos and have a
Ah.
little space, sometimes my tattoo
Oh,
person
cool.
asked me, basically was like, and that's where I knew I was kind of in the club where she
Yeah.
asked me, she's like, well, would you want to get a tattoo for my apprentice? And I was like, okay, yes,
Okay.
because sometimes it's like just a little thing that they'll do, and it's like almost like a badge of
Go
honor where
yeah. Like
you're a
you're a
part of
beta test?
someone's well, and you're a part of someone's journey in that,
Yeah.
and then you
That's
come back
cool.
and over year yeah, so, I have a
Mhm.
pineapple, that's just can't really see it, but it's a little
That is
pineapple.
and that was the test?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I would still love to get more, but I don't know, I've just
Yeah.
been so just, this business
I'll
is
let me see if I
like
can
3
find
and
this.
2.
While we're talking about this, so when my sister and I recently were talking about this, because she was like, so I started crocheting recently and taught my sister how to crochet, and she was like, "We should get a yarn tattoo." And I'm like, "Ugh, I don't know."
Yeah,
So I was drinking a lot of wine one night by and crocheting, and then I went to ChatGPT. It was like, "Ask me questions about," because I know there's a lot of meaning in my life. Like, I don't want to sound like I like have nothing significant in my life. So I went to ChatGPT. I was like, "Ask me questions about me to help me design a tattoo." Look how terrible this is. It's let's see. Like the so it's like mountains because I
oh
snowboard and sewing and soccer,
my
music, a hop,
god.
like
It's
it's
like
awful. But that's what
yeah,
ChatGPT did. I'm like,
I'll tell you,
in
yes,
execution, it's shitty, but in concept, like it would have like the
well,
ocean
right,
and
like, the
Irish and
visualization is
sewing.
atrocious, however
Oh, it is.
however,
It's like you went to the boardwalk and they like
that
did
is
something to you.
so like a picture of, like, a cheesesteak from the
Yeah,
boardwalk.
but that's what I did after, like, a bottle of wine and ChatGPT and
That
crocheting on
is
the
so
couch
fun
one
it's a
night.
good exercise, though, that's an interesting way to do it,
It
that's interesting.
it
That's
is.
funny. I
It
love it. I love it.
Alright, anything else before we wrap up?
No, this is fantastic, yeah,
This was fun.
I hope I'm invited back to the live
Of course.
stream, I had a blast. Yeah, it was
Yes.
fun.
Maybe next
Very
time
cool,
we'll
there's a lot to
pick
talk
there
a lot
is.
to talk
Maybe we
about.
pick a specific topic one time. I feel like if I need to go back to see which ones were most popular, but my don't project manage in a spreadsheet was one of my most viewed. Uh, Creating an intake request workflow was one of my most viewed. So one of the questions I had
Yeah,
for you that maybe we could use as a spinoff was, like, what was the biggest ops, like, dumpster fire you've ever walked into, or what is the most common, dumpster fires you walk into? And maybe we can, because I know you haven't seen all of my live
yeah,
streams, but usually I start with, "Here's what's fucked up, and now
yeah,
here's how I make it better." So we kinda, like,
yeah.
build it tactically live. So if you wanna think of
Yeah,
anything.
no, absolutely. Because I think and I think that that's truly it. I mean, I think where I've also come full circle with this whole sort of, mindset and, like, thinking about how would one, right, give the best, tactical advice? Because
Mhm,
I think that that's where my focus is like, what are a few things that people could do? Because I think where I'm
mhm.
focused the most is that I can say all day long, everyone agrees with me from, like, like a I agree with that standpoint,
From an
but
arm's length, like
yeah, it's like,
yeah,
"What? So what? So now what? Okay, great. Yeah, I
yeah,
agree with you. It sucks that everything's confusing and I have I have no way out. Help me."
yeah,
So, what are a few things that, I've been through because I've been through many different iterations of project management and, looking at things from every vantage point possible. What can I
mhm,
offer people
mhm,
to help them think about things differently or give a little piece of advice to say, hey, that
mhm.
one thing I did that was great. And then I built this like, so I think where I'm focused the most is how can I help people unpack this crazy thing that is just getting things done in their jobs because it's
Yeah,
hard and it depends on where you fall
yeah,
and what your role is fundamentally a lot of the structures that still exist
mhm,
prevent. change, number one,
Yeah.
as we said.
Mhm.
And number two, trying to be one piece. And if you're really good at your job, that one piece inside a broken thing is tough. That's tough work. So
It
what
is.
do? You quit? What's the likelihood that you're going to jump somewhere that it's going to be so much better? I don't
Yeah.
think so. Depends. I'm not
Yeah.
saying that you should stay in a job, but my point is that like it's a little crazy out there. So what do
It
you do?
is.
We're at an inflection point right now. We are
Yep.
about to enter into a whole thing. AI is being jammed, force fed, waterboarded down our throats, and
Yes.
it's in everything. I mean, and I grew up like literally like back in the '90s. This is like my version of like Clippy in Word. It's like Clippy. Are you trying to write a sentence? It's like, yes, I am, Clippy. Get out of here. And that's kind of how I feel about AI. Everything I do, I don't want a bot. I don't want help. I don't want
Yeah.
something hovering over in the corner, just waiting to be like like it's just like, and then like sprinkling in the corner, being like,
Yeah.
are you trying to write something? I'm like,
Yeah.
yes. Can you
No.
get out, please?
Yes.
Yes. So
Like,
that's where I
I
am with it. It's also just
uh,
garbage to write. For me, I don't use it to write because it's just trash. Because
yes.
it's like I have an idea, take all the things that probably people that I don't want their opinions to be chopped up into little pieces and then put them in a soup. And then I say, write this thing for me about,
And
and like, what's it
regurgitate it
trained on?
back.
Well, what's it
Yeah.
trained on? I mean, like it's not voices that necessarily are the only voice that should ever have been heard. It's just the stuff
Yes.
that's already out there. And it's like, welcome to the last 30 years. Whose voices do you think that they are? I don't know. I just have a
Yes.
little bit of like, but it's
I know.
fantastic for other things. To me, I'm just like,
Yeah.
I get a little pissed with all the writing of it all. I just don't use it
Yes.
for that.
Yes.
So,
So
all that is
I'm
to
gonna
say,
I was gonna grab something from my shelf because I know you were at a Mets game yesterday. I have my little Lawrence Taylor guy over here. Like, do you
you're a
football?
Giants fan.
Are you?
I'm a Jets fan.
I Jets and Mets normally go together. I didn't want to assume, but
Right, because because it's punishing.
well, you wanna hear the worst part?
Yeah,
Uh,
what?
I married an Eagles fan. I know. I know. I almost got what's the word? Like, banned from my family. I can't think
Yeah.
of the word.
Well, I will
Like,
say this,
it
my wife's family's from Boston, and so
oh,
my
the compatriots?
but no
No?
Patriots. They're not
Oh,
football
oh.
fans, but huge, 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 huge Red Sox, and I will say this, I was welcomed in because I'm a Met fan and not a Yankee fan, thank God.
There you go.
So, we
Do you
get along.
follow
I can actually wear my Mets hat in Boston, and I don't,
there you
feel
go.
that.
Are you into hockey?
I used to have half a season of Ranger tickets back in the
We are
day.
huge Rangers fans. We need to meet
There you
up for
go.
a game. So that's the weird thing.
Absolutely.
My husband grew up in West Jersey, like near Trenton, and
Okay.
Phillies, but grew up as a New York fan because when they won in '94, like we were old enough to remember. So
Sure.
my grandparents were born in the Bronx. So, and then my
Nice.
parents grew up in North Jersey in Union County. So yeah, we're big, big Rangers fans. So we'll have to
Love
come
it.
meet up for a game.
Absolutely. Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
God, I love it. And yeah, my wife's not a hockey fan, but she's a huge baseball fan. We're huge
Yeah.
tennis fans.
Okay.
Um, so we went to
There
I've
you
been to the US Open a ton. So we went last
Okay.
year. We're gonna go this year. It's fun. I
Ah,
love it.
interesting. Cool.
I love it. I love
Alrighty.
it.
Well,
All right.
this
So
was
are we
fun.
signing off for the
I
live
think
stream?
so.
Okay,
So
this was fantastic.
how about one so if let's do like a last question. So if somebody's in this mess that we've been talking about, give
Yep.
them one quick win or one super quick, even if it's a teeny tiny win, one little actionable thing they can do to help get themselves towards fixing.
Yep. I would look at your workflow. All right. If someone's in a broken system, I would look at the thing that's the most broken and I would literally break that down and try to create one piece of change. Let's just say you have a terrible relationship with Gary's department and that is not working. Take the one thing that is the worst and see if you can unblock it, because sometimes it's just the worst thing that you have to look at first, not the other way around. And so if whether it's communication, whether it's a client relationship that's strained,
Yep.
literally just to the exclusion of everything else, find the
Mhm.
worst thing and look at it like the parallax, look at it from a bunch of different angles and see if you can create one piece of change. Because if you build a system to create change, then it's just a rinse and repeat. You don't just try to fix the thing, try to
Yes.
develop a system to fix things. And then that's how you scale it
Yes.
because then you take that one thing, okay, that worked. And then you rinse and repeat
Yeah.
and you'll get better at it and you'll refine it. And then, like I
Yep.
said, will be noticed. And then
Yes.
that's where other people are like, hey,
Yeah.
burr, burr, burr. And then it starts to be like that, even just like again, mechanical reference, like it
Mhm.
starts to become a thing that is cohesive
Yep.
and is able to withstand, some of because it's you're not going to avoid, chaos.
Yeah.
Like
No.
it's because it's part of the gig, right? But you
Yes.
build a thing that is
Mhm.
more amenable to
Yes.
chaotic situations,
Yes.
not to try to avoid chaos or build a system that you're, stupid enough to think that it's going to
Yes.
prevent it because it won't. But find the worst thing and figure out a system on how to fix it, rinse and
Yep.
repeat, and then just keep going until you make something that is the most workable thing you can.
Well, damn, because I was gonna say something really, really similar. I was gonna say
See,
write down the
I'm not surprised. That's
no.
right. That's why this happened, right?
Yes, I feel like anytime anybody asks me, like, "What's one thing I can do?" I say, "Think about what when you go home, what do you bitch and whine about to whoever you're going home to, or who do you text? Write down the
Right,
3 things that you bitch and whine." Because I feel like that when you try to say, like, "Well, what's the biggest issue?" Like, "Huh?" But you say, "What's the biggest thing you complain about?" That the
right.
people go, "Ah." So I say, write down the top 3 things, and then what's the one out of that? And then, like you said, find the first thing you can do to make a tiny fix. So that's what I was gonna
So
say.
that's not a mistake that we had the same answer. So that's like the mic drop moment
That
of this live stream because that's right. There is no other, to me, there's no other way
yeah,
to get out of it, right?
awesome. Well, that's awesome and creepy, but yeah,
I,
our brains are
well,
very
and
aligned. Our
I
brains are
have one
aligned.
I have one
It's your
note,
fix.
being that you live in South Jersey, I think you have to change your metaphor to the hoagie. You
No,
have a
I don't
sample.
say that word. No, that's a Philly thing. I say
Oh,
sub. I don't know.
oh, okay. Okay. All
I
right
don't
then.
know.
Even
Philly
that no,
people say
subs
weird shit. I
no,
don't know.
sub is I'm from Jersey. They say subs. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, where in Jersey are you from? Oh, no, we talked
Cran
about this.
Yeah,
Cranford, that's
Cranford.
right. We talked about that because that's where my parents are from. That's right. We did talk
There you
about
go.
that.
I know. See?
That's
Small
right.
world.
I know.
Small world.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Well,
Alrighty.
this was
Well,
fantastic. I will
this
see you
was
soon.
yes, thank you everybody for submitting questions. This was my first Ask Me Anything. I think we will maybe I'll do it monthly. We'll see.
Definitely.
But
I'm into
thank
it.
you. And in the description is the link to submit requests for future topics for the Unfucked Weekly. So today, what's today, August 7th? It's Friday Eve. Have a great weekend. And as always, I hope this has helped you to be more productive. So thank you, Jack from Duffy and Boyd, for joining me today.
Thank